Around 12,000 years ago, someone planted a seed. It looked like a small decision. It changed everything. For almost 300,000 years, humans lived without farms. No fields, no villages, no kings, no taxes. People hunted, people gathered, people moved with the seasons. It worked surprisingly well. Many hunter-gatherers ate dozens of different plants every year. Some worked only a few hours each day. Anthropologist Marshall Solins famously called them the original affluent society. So why abandon that life? Why choose harder work? For decades, the answer seemed obvious. People needed more food. The climate warmed after the last ice age. Wild grains spread across the landscape. Humans simply took advantage of them. It sounded reasonable. Then archaeologists started digging deeper. The evidence refused to cooperate. Some of the earliest farming communities showed signs of poor health. Their bones told uncomfortable stories. They were shorter. They suffered more disease. Their teeth were worse. Many carried signs of nutritional stress. Archaeologist Mark Nathan Cohen argued that early farming often made life harder, not easier. If farming made people sicker, why keep doing it? That question changed the entire debate. The story begins long before the first field. Around 20,000 years ago, the world was still locked in an ice age. Massive glaciers covered huge parts of Earth. Sea levels stood more than 100 meters lower than today. Then, everything changed. The climate warmed, forests spread, rainfall shifted, animals moved into new territories, wild cereals flourished across the Fertile Crescent. Humans suddenly had access to enormous patches of edible grasses. Groups like the Natufians settled near these rich environments. They lived in stone houses. They stored food. They stayed in one place longer than their ancestors ever had. But they were not farmers. Not yet. Research suggests they harvested wild wheat and barley using stone sickles. They were already changing the landscape. Then something unexpected happened. Around 12,900 years ago, temperatures suddenly crashed. Scientists call this period the Younger Dryas. It lasted for more than 1,000 years. Conditions became colder and drier. Wild grain fields shrank. Reliable food became harder to find. Archaeologist Ofer Bar Yosef proposed that this environmental pressure pushed some communities toward cultivation. Instead of searching farther, they began growing food closer to home. At first, the changes were tiny. People scattered seeds. They cleared unwanted plants. They watered promising patches. Generation after generation, wild grasses slowly changed. Seeds became larger. Stalks became stronger. The plants stopped spreading naturally. They became dependent on humans. Humans thought they were domesticating wheat. In reality, wheat was domesticating humans too. People could no longer wander freely. Fields demanded attention. Seasons dictated schedules. Harvests could not wait. Entire communities became tied to one place. What happens when you cannot simply walk away? Everything changes. Permanent homes became villages. Villages became towns. Stored grain attracted thieves. Protection became necessary. Leaders emerged. Rules appeared. Property mattered. For the first time, wealth could be accumulated. Some families owned more than others. Inequality slowly took root. Historian Yuval Noah Harari describes agriculture as history's biggest trap. It produced more food. It also demanded more labor. People worked longer hours. They depended on fewer crops. A single failed harvest could become a disaster. The human body changed as well. Skeletons reveal repetitive strain injuries from grinding grain. Ancient teeth contain deep cavities caused by carbohydrate-rich diets. Crowded settlements allowed diseases to spread more easily. Humans had escaped the uncertainty of the hunt. They entered the uncertainty of the harvest. None of this happened overnight. There was no moment when humanity voted to become farmers. Every generation made small decisions. Plant another patch. Store a little more grain. Build a stronger house. Stay one more season. Each choice felt temporary. Together, they reshaped civilization. Geneticist David Reich has shown that farming also transformed human populations. Agriculture allowed communities to grow rapidly. Farmers expanded across continents. They mixed with hunter-gatherers, sometimes peacefully, sometimes violently. The world we know emerged from those encounters. Cities followed, writing followed, governments followed, empires followed. Almost everything that defines modern civilization traces back to those first cultivated fields. And yet, the irony remains. Humans did not necessarily become happier. They became more numerous. That is a very different outcome. Evolution does not reward comfort. It rewards survival. Agriculture succeeded because it produced more people, not because it produced better lives. They all belong to the same story. The real reason humans started farming was not because it made life easier. It was because thousands of tiny choices slowly became impossible to reverse. Civilization was never built in a single moment. It grew one seed at a time. And the strangest part is this: you are not living after the agricultural revolution. You are still living inside it.